Step onto the field. I'm Patrick Dangerfield.
And I'm Josh Jenkins. Pat, nice to be with you off the back of a little business meeting, a little bit of behind the scenes stuff. But, mate, the footy finals are here. We got through the bye week, but tomorrow night it will be coming quick. Brisbane host Richmond to kickstart the 2022 finals. Your Cats and you in particular play Saturday afternoon against the Pies. But let's retrace your steps. How did you feel in the bye week? And do you actually enjoy the bye week?
Well, it's a balance of enjoying the bye week, but still having half an eye cast to the following week. But that was difficult to do, Gronk. The weather was beautiful, 18 degrees on Sunday. But we had the structure of our week. I'll give it to you. Last week was our really big session, so that was almost simulating a game. So that was 2+ hours, weekend off, and then a normal-ish week this week in the lead up, basically. But you're not doing things like reviewing a game, so the meetings slightly changed. But it is a balance of preparing for this week and the opposition, but not going overboard and keeping it as similar to weeks gone by.
Yeah, it'll come around quick. I know it probably feels a little slowish, but it will come around quick. The finals were launched officially Monday morning. Gillon McLaughlin held a press conference where he announced triple premiership tiger Basher Hooley as the Premiership Cup ambassador. Jordan Lewis is the travelling ambassador, so there's two ambassadors for the Cup. And Nathan Buckley will be presenting. Hey, he might be presenting it to you, the Norm Smith medal. So the finals festivities are here, Patrick. So this is a time of year you want to be playing. This is a time of year you want to be involved. You don't want to be going on footy trips, and we'll talk about footy trips a little bit later. This is the time you want to be playing.
Yeah, this is when the real stuff starts. And I think it's obvious that Gill's obviously been a very busy man of late, Josh, because the bouffant is thickened and lengthier than we've seen it, for some time. It's reminiscent of the COVID years, 2020. And we know how bad Gill's hair got during that stage, but quite clearly, which makes me think, Josh, that, are the potential broadcast rights, are they coming to a crescendo? Are they getting closer? Because the big fella hasn't had the do redone in some time. Maybe he's getting a final spruce up this week. But there's a lot happening at AFL House. And, the haircut quite clearly has been to the back of thought. It's not your Joel Selwood once a fortnight sort of setup with the chief. It's quite clearly, I reckon you're looking at 6 weeks plus with that sort of hairstyle.
Do you reckon Gill listens to this?
Probably not. He should, though.
Indeed, he should. He should join in the other 725,428 who listen. Now, let's jump across because we're going to talk a bit of AFL finals. But firstly, we're going to talk AFLW because round one kicked off and it was a good start. It was a good middle, but it was a very, very good end. And this, Pat, is how our Geelong Cats women's finished off an absolute thriller.
She will have to give this everything she's got. Cats need some numbers on the line to make sure it doesn't go through for a rush behind. Prasparkas steps up and buries it.
Young gun Georgie Prasparkas in the long sleeves with the blue mouth guard in, stepped up to the plate and kicked the game winner for the Cats, Pat. What about that?
Yeah, it was brilliant, Gronk. And I don't want to give too much of my my gold away on the pod today because the AFLW podcast should just be about out now, reviewing round one. There were some terrific performances.
Oh, you actually got to that. I thought that was just you running your mouth.
No, there was none better than Georgie. And because of the moment, a minute 30 or whatever it was on the clock, kicks the goal, hadn't kicked a goal in AFLW, kicks 2 goals, finishes with 16 touches.
Should she have had the kick?
McDonald. What's that?
Should she have had the kick in the first place?
Yeah, 3 was there. Downfield to the same player? Well, you could argue potentially not.
You don't.
But there wasn't a lot of players in the vicinity, Gronk.
Oh, Pat, Oh, the blue and white hoops are coming out in you there. But it was a fantastic round one. The grand final rematch was a cracker with the D's getting over the Crows over there in South Australia. Daisy Pearce just kicked a nice snap, nice left foot snap in that one. That was a really good game. Carlton Collingwood kicked things off, and Essendon Hawthorn. Now I'm keen to talk to you about this one, Pat. So, two new teams. Was scheduled to be, I believe, at Port Melbourne Oval, which is a fine venue. They decided, and both clubs pushed really hard to move the game. They decided to move the game to Marvel Stadium. There were 12,000 in the house. What was the go there? Why the need to move?
Well, the capacity at the other venue was 6,000.
Yes.
So the decision was on the back of that.
Is that low?
Well, that's what my field research leads me to believe. Josh, I view it this way. Now, from all reports, the atmosphere there was phenomenal, amazing.
At Marvel?
But I would prefer to pack out local.
Thank you. Keep going. No, you can keep going now. Keep going.
I would prefer to pack out smaller venues and have that feeling of just everyone on top of you rather than these cavernous big stadiums. But the caveat to that is,
yes,
and the beauty of Marvel is you're playing in a controlled environment. And what we saw was the highest scoring AFL debut between teams. So of any new teams entering the competition, this was the highest scoring. And no doubt Marvel plays a part in that. The challenge with Marvel quite clearly are the economics around it because of how expensive it is to set up. Now, the AFL owns it, yes, but it doesn't mean that running costs of it, cleaning the facilities is one of the biggest challenges with all these major stadia. That part is a real checks and balances. And that's something to be seriously considered, and it does need, some work. So it's not a, I would still prefer, Princess Park for mine is the ideal venue. There's some great venues in South Australia because of the history of the SANFL quite clearly. What we're seeing with these new facilities that clubs are building are sort of boutique sort of seating setups, which I think is great. Whitton Oval will be terrific. Punt Road, a redevelopment there is needed and could be a wonderful home of AFLW given its location. So I see that as being the ideal pathway moving forward. Yeah,
I'm with you. I would rather, and you did as well. I played as an Adelaide Crow. I played in a 3/4 empty MCG. I played in a half empty Marvel Stadium. I would much rather play at a small boutique venue that's full rather than venues that are half empty or 3/4 empty. But I would probably prefer the AFL level, the elite facilities. That is the difference as well. So you go and play at Windy Hill or Port Melbourne Oval or wherever, you don't necessarily get access to the elite facility. So there's give and take on both sides.
No, so you're exactly right. So you've got the girls warming up in, to be frank, pretty crap facilities for an elite sporting organisation. And of course you'd rather, play, you'd rather really decent facilities, great change room, showers, etc., all that sort of stuff. So you're not getting that. And that's where I think the investment, over the next few years is going to be critical to the right infrastructure.
Yep.
So all of the venues that the girls play at are really well set up.
Well, I look forward to the AFLW pod. Are we allowed to know? Have you got a co-host? My
wife's kicking it off with me to the start.
Ooh.
Yeah. Mards, we have every single game of AFLW that runs throughout the week or on the weekend. Mards does not miss a thing.
Good.
So going to kick off with Mards, which will be interesting because God knows what the kids are going to be doing. But it was a cracking round one. There's so much to digest. You can see just how much the competition has improved. Fremantle under huge pressure. They had 25 players to come into the competition to select from for round one. They're like West Coast in the men's competition. They could blow their season up early,
Devastated.
simply because they don't have the availability. So they're in a really challenging situation. Melbourne, I think, will be they're the team to beat. Brisbane solidified their credentials around being a real big challenger, as did Adelaide. They didn't lose any fans. I didn't think they played their best footy, but I'm not sure do they have the next gear, given the fact that Aaron Phillips goes out and a few others.
Well, let's find out on the AFLW podcast, shall we? Now, scooting across to the men's competition, I was sad to learn Chris Fagan broke the news on SEN Monday morning that Marcus Adams, the big, bulking, hulking fullback, he's done for the season, Pat, with concussion symptoms. And Chris Fagan said he can't even go outside. So that's a massive blow for the Lions. But clearly the number one priority and concern is with Marcus himself, who just can't do things as simple as go outside and live life.
Yeah, like I was thinking about this. I think we need to work to a mechanism within the list that sits outside of that sits outside of the primary list. So if this is at the start of the season, and we experienced this at Geelong this year with Sammy Simpson, an ability to have a player listed that doesn't sit on the main list. So it takes all stress out around what the future may hold for that player.
Yeah.
So there's no pressure around how fast you can return to training when, you can say as much as you like, don't worry about the future. That is impossible for everyone. Everyone is always planning for the future and what may be ahead. So I wonder whether there is a mechanism that could potentially be employed where you have if you fit these certain protocols, concussion, etc., that you paid outside of the salary cap to a certain amount, and that can be for an extra year. So there's no stress and there's no pressure to return that same year for that player. So we're not rushing back and you're treating the symptoms with, the utmost care and sincerity and acknowledging that, you're going to take the time to get back right. And you don't have the pressure of, my contract ending at the end of the season and I've got to get back to playing so I can show the staff and, the coaches and the recruiting staff that I'm right to go.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. The other bit of news before, two more things. Irishman Connor McKenna, the former Bomber, and we remember the furor around him when we thought he was the first player to contract COVID. How far we've come. Every player in the game's had it. Some have had it 2-3 times. But Connor has apparently quit his team over in Ireland and he's looking to make a comeback back to the AFL. So that will be interesting because he is a real talent. He's a dasher off halfback. I love to watch him play. He's highly skilled. He's bold.
He's built for the modern game.
And he wants to come back, Pat. So it'll be interesting to see who ends up with his services, if indeed he does come back.
Is he 30?
No, I wouldn't think so. I will have a look at right here, right now, Patrick. But I don't think he is 30. But what he is, he's a very, very talented player. Yeah, he's too young. He's too young for the Cats. He is, just bear with me. He is.
What, the Wi-Fi just not working in Highton tonight?
He's 26. He is in the sweet spot of his career. So he might come back and get a
25 to 30.
A 3 or 4 year deal. Now, the last thing I can't let you get past me without asking. Now, I saw this man jumping into a dam over the weekend. Jeremy Cameron, his hamstring, he's dam jumping, he's cutting wood, he's riding 4-wheelers, his social media is it just has to be seen to be believed. To me, it would look like he's going to play in the first final. Fair?
Well, I would have thought. Yep. That's as a powerful a dam diving as I've ever seen. So I think the outdoor athlete is ready to fire.
The outdoor athlete. If dam diving is a sport, then he would be on the podium. All right, let's jump off.
Would you dive into a dam that's probably filled with yabbies and you can't even see them?
Leeches, mate. Leeches.
I'm not sure there's leeches in it.
Mate, I jumped into it. I was swimming in a dam when I was a kid, got out and had about 4 leeches all over my stomach. And you're not I just obviously flicked them off. You're supposed to get them off with salt.
Burn them, aren't you?
Yeah, something crazy like that. I was just like, get that thing off me. A really strange and gross feeling, but no such issues for the outdoor athlete.
No, not at all. Hey, tributes flowed for Andrew Symonds with his family before the Australian clash with Zimbabwe. It was in Symonds' hometown, Townsville. Amazing tribute. Still so raw after he passed. What an incredible, lovable person. Just when you think of Australia, you think of him. Like, he embodied everything that, I think we like to be as Australians. Passionate, competitive, but also had that larrikin side that was just
larrikin. Yeah, he was a mini Shane Warne in a sense. He was a great cricketer. He took it seriously. He was intense, too intense on occasion, but he loved a beer. He loved to go fishing. He wanted to go out. He didn't understand the professional nature of the game. So yeah, it's been some time. It's been many months since he unfortunately passed away in a car accident up there in Townsville. But yeah, to see that, I don't know whether that game was held up there specifically so they could, have a bit of a tribute, but whatever it was a great occasion. His kids were really upset, which was hard to watch, but having the big yabby net and the fishing rod and all those sorts of things at the the stumps was absolutely fantastic. He'd be one of my 5 favourite cricketers of all time, Andrew Symonds. So big Roy, gone but not forgotten.
Shaq's Aussie tour, Gronk. Now, you're all over this. We both love the big Aristotle.
Mm-hmm.
He's taken the East Coast by storm, DJing, partying, hangovers at lunches, meet and greets. Your thoughts? What a man.
Well, I did hear a little whisper. Now, this is up for some conjecture and potentially controversial and very much likely sees us out of the running to have Shaq on the podcast. I heard that there were some less than pleased meet and greeters who put up 650 to meet the big man and never actually got to meet the big man, potentially on the back of some late night shindigging that Shaq had been up to. So
was it late? See, I heard a different rumor that it wasn't late night shindigging.
What?
It was because a certain football club had all of a sudden been invited to a meet and greet and had, not weaseled their way in, but meandered their way in. And Shaq, for his appearances, he is to the second. So if he's there for an hour, as soon as the watch goes off, Shaq's gone.
Yeah, well, I did hear that I did hear a podcast that he was allegedly on. And after the 20 minutes, he goes, "All right, boys, I'm out." And he just got up and walked off, the big guy. So
I think that's the reason. Yes, I think that's the reason for the upheaval that a lot of people have paid their hard-earned kanga and have perhaps been usurped in the pecking order.
Imagine coughing up 650 to meet someone and you never even get to meet them. That's
because a few footballers all of a sudden jump in the queue,
bloody football,
bypass you, get more than 2 seconds of a meet and greet.
Bloody footballers. Hey, sticking with hoops, sticking with the hardwood, and someone who still plays the game, not Shaq, Kevin Durant. He's bought back in, so he met the owner.
Does this last though?
After telling the owner that you need to sack the coach and the GM, and the owner said, "No, mate, we're keeping the coach and the GM." Of course, Sean Marks is the GM, a New Zealander. Steve Nash, of course, the 2-time MVP, the head coach. KD, and
let's not forget, Josh.
Yes.
Let's not forget, Kevin Durant was the one that wanted Steve Nash.
Wow. Who knows what Kevin Durant wants? He's got the grass is greener syndrome. He thinks
it was widely reported.
Yes, it was. Was it reported by Woj? If it wasn't, then it's not true because Woj knows all. I think Kevin Durant's he's got the grass is greener syndrome. He just thinks it's better everywhere but where he is. And he wasn't happy in Golden State. He wasn't happy in Oklahoma City with Russell and Harden. And now he's just off and gone, or he wants to be off and gone. Now he wants to be back in. Who knows what's going to go on? I agree with what you said. before, it won't last. At some stage across this season, either he will want out, he will want Symonds moved, he'll want Kyrie moved, Kyrie will want to move, he'll want the coach sacked. There's no way on God's green earth that they go through the season without any drama.
It's self-annihilation, because if you look at the breakdown, if they could stay together, they're their best hope. That team is their best hope. They couldn't go anywhere with a greater chance at success.
Mm-hmm. But as I said, when you've got the grass is greener syndrome, it's an official illness, then you are just always going to be looking elsewhere. A sport that is just brutal to play, a brutal blend of speed, power mixed with endurance, anaerobic power, something you might possess. Rugby sevens, our Australian rugby sevens boys.
You spent a lot of time playing rugby sevens, have you?
I know the former head of conditioning of the rugby sevens, the national rugby sevens team, and he said it is a brutal blend of speed, power, and endurance. But the reason I'm bringing it up, shout out to Nick Poulos, the current, I think he's the current head of the GWS conditioning system. Is he?
He is. Yep. Head of PPT.
The men's rugby 7 team, the Aussies, won the world championship in LA across the weekend. So well done to those boys in a sport that's very hard to play, Pat.
Very hard to play, and very hard to sort of get any reports on, because it's the first I've heard of it, Josh. But I'm sure we'll be laying down the welcome mat.
Well, now you know that we are the world champs. Now, a sport you'll know a little bit more about, I should hope, is the NFL. It's only a week
away,
8 days away from getting underway. Now, I've got a couple of predictions for you. I'll pick my Super Bowl winner, and I'll pick my MVP. But firstly, I want to talk about Tom Brady. Everyone wants to talk about Tom Brady, but this situation is just weird, right? So let me map this out. If you haven't necessarily followed Can
you map it out? Because I'd love to know, because I've been following it and I still can't follow it.
I'm worried because, so this is what happened, right? Brady retired. And then the head coach, Bruce Arians, resigned and moved into a quote unquote head office role. Brady returned. Yep. Then Tom Brady, the story came out that he was looking to buy into the ownership of the Miami Dolphins with Sean Payton as head coach, and that fell through for some reason. Then Brady, so he's back with the Buccaneers, and then he takes 11 days off during training camp. Now, their preseasons, unlike ours, only go for about 30 to 35 days. He's taken a third of it off. Now, this is the most meticulous preparer in the history of sport, and he was stood at the podium addressing the situation, and he didn't have a lot to say, but he never speaks like this. Have a listen to what Tom Brady had to say, and then I'll just give my prediction on what I think is happening with TB12.
It's all personal, everyone's got different situations they're dealing with, so we all have really unique challenges to our life, and I'm 45 years old, man. There's a lot of shit going on. So, you just gotta try to figure out life the best you can. And, it's a continuous process. So
that is, I've never heard him speak like that ever. That is, I don't know what to make of it. I'm not necessarily going to sit here and try and guess what he's talking about, but you'd imagine, Pat, it's quite serious for him to take 11 days off in the middle of training camp. Now, I
don't like speculating, Josh, but when I heard that, I'm like, hang on, home front? That's all it could be.
Well, that's, whether it's illness or whatever, I'm not sure. We know his mum's had her battles with health. I'm not going to sit here and speculate, but it doesn't sound great. I mean, it sounds weird. It doesn't sound like his mind and his spirit is with football at all. So it is a massive watch this space as the NFL season gets underway next week, Pat.
I think to add to that is the team is a year older in terms of the playing.
No Gronk, he's gone.
No Gronk.
No Antonio Brown. He's doing some kind of crazy shit.
He's on social media. Who else did their knee 3 weeks ago?
Chris Godwin?
I can't remember. Anyway, it was defensive cover. I don't see them being anywhere near the Buccaneers this year.
No, again, the field just is the gift that keeps on giving. The massive NFL season preview, the mega season preview drops this week as well. So I actually went through every single team in the NFL, Pat, and gave my picks for their win-loss record. And I'm happy to have a little spoiler alert because I've got the book right here in front of me. Now, my guess for the Buccaneers. Now, you got to listen to the Field NFL to get the other 31. I had the Buccaneers going 9-8, just barely above 500. So that's what I think of the Buccaneers. I'm not even certain at this stage Tom Brady's going to play out the season.
Where did you have? I've got two for you. The Rams going back to back.
We are giving the numbers.
The Kansas City Chiefs. Can they get it together after they win? And then Pat Mahomes signs the largest ever extension in the history of mankind with anything ever at $540 million or whatever it was.
Yes.
I see those two being around the mark.
All right, my Super Bowl pick again. I'm just a little spoiler alert for those wanting to listen to the field. If you don't want to know what I'm about to say, block your ears. I think the LA Rams go back to back. And I think my man Smoking Joe Burrow, Cool Joe, wins the MVP. So that's how I'm seeing it. The Rams are better than last year. They've picked up two players in Allen Robinson and Bobby Wagner. They are better than last year. They've got that championship swag. Aaron Donald's back. Sean McVay's back. And I reckon they'll pick up Odell Beckham Jr. midway through the year once he comes back from that torn ACL. So the Rams will win it.
Speaking of Odell Beckham Jr., he said that he'd actually done his ACL before the Super Bowl. Read into that what you will.
Didn't look like
this is about 2 weeks ago. If he does an ACL during the Super Bowl, how realistic is it that he gets back halfway through the season? Surely it's not.
No, they get him back in 8 or 9 months over there. Yeah, it's quite remarkable. I think Adrian Peterson got back in about 7.5, 8 months, and he's a running back. So they're cutting and changing in direction all the time. So they get him back a lot quicker than we do in Australia. There might be something in that, but they get them back within 9 months. So he'll be back. He'll be back. What's that? Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be nearly back because he did it in February. So March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. No, he'll be back just around Christmas time. So
surely not.
He'll be
Cowboys' first $8 billion sports team.
Yes.
There's a wonderful.
Imagine what wonderful clip. They're any good.
Wonderful clip of Donald Trump talking about them when he had the opportunity to purchase them for $50 million. And I can't remember the exact scripture, but it went along the lines of whoever buys the Dallas Cowboys is an absolute loser.
Well, they
will never amount to anything. He goes and buys a USCFL site.
And they will go broke. They go under.
They go broke.
Yeah, well, Donald's got more issues than at the moment than worrying about the fact he didn't buy the Dallas Cowboys. Let me assure you, he's got another 3-letter organization, not the NFL, the FBI. They are looking for Donald. So as I said, you can get the first NFL podcast this week. Big. He's not big. He's little. Rory Laird joins me, the fantasy football guru, because, Pat, everyone loves fantasy football. And our new man, Jimmy from Easy's in Collingwood, he's going to jump on to talk about his love of burgers, beers, and American sports, and his new partnership across a few of the podcasts that we produce, Pat. So I'm looking forward to that.
Looking forward to that, Gronk. It's time for our favourite segment. It is Mirror on the Media. And, well, it's gotten here on our run sheet. Kane. He's done it again. Now, every time we want to move past, and we're hoping that there's going to be others that come up with some gold for us to digest here on the field when it comes to Mirror on the Media. And there's a few this week. I loved Kelly Underwood. She started the AFLW game between the GWS Giants and I think they played the Western Bulldogs from memory, and she was talking about the Dogs. And when she got to GWS, she referred to them as the Orange team. I thought that was wonderful because everyone had absolutely nailed her. And as you would know, Josh, live friggin' TV and calling footy is that hard a job as it is. And of course, there's going to be a few faux pas every now and then. So I love that from Cal. I thought it was terrific. But getting back to Kane has gone all in, Josh.
Yes.
And he's disgusted that the 30 to 35 Essendon players are travelling to Europe together.
The volcano. Surely you don't have a volcano. Oh, no.
The volcano doesn't sleep, Pete.
Who have you got lined up?
Kane, aren't they?
Still on Essendon, and the only successful thing the Essendon players have planned this year is a footy trip. So I was really surprised to see a large-scale footy trip that I thought were extinct about 10 years ago, and our clubs really dislike and advise their players not to do.
All right, that's enough of Kane Corn. He was...
Well, the rest of the Sunday Footy Show panel, absolutely, they went to town. Well, I thought it was good fun.
I was actually surprised that 35. I actually text Michael Hurley and said, surely there aren't 35 of them going together to Europe, but apparently there are that many. There's about 31 going on the trip, so that's quite remarkable in itself. Imagine doing the logistics on all that stuff. But I mean, seriously,
might have taken some time.
Our man, Kane Corn. You can't be. I think that one of his quotes again. He doubled down on radio and he said, "Are they professional or are they semi-professional?" You got to be able to have a bit of a what are they supposed to do? Just start running laps out at Tullamarine?
No, on these European holidays, these take months in advance to plan. This has been a well orchestrated.
We reckon they're planning it round 4.
No, I'm with him.
Him?
No, I'm not with him.
Oh, sure.
No, I'm a bit of both.
No one else on planet Earth's with him on this.
I'm a bit funny. No, you know what I liked? Actually, I didn't like. I saw straight through this, right? Leading into the last round of the season. And all of a sudden we see Port Adelaide players come out and just launching into Adelaide. Kane picked up on this. I smelled a rat. I smelt the media manager all over this. And they thought, you know what, let's concoct something and get the boys to go over and above what they would usually say. I've never heard Ollie Wines ever be anything other than A1 when it comes to his commentary on the game and on teams. Same with Tom Jonas. When's Tom gone out and just gone whack? Yeah. It's always been very, very controlled with what they've said. And that's, the vast majority of all players. But both of them just went. And that, to me, was a concoction of let's build this game up. Robbie Gray's last game. Let's try and get 50,000 there and have something that was somewhat reminiscent of a game that there's lots on the line. Because the reality was
there was nothing.
There wasn't. It was the end of the season.
And they played accordingly. There was nothing on the line, and it was a dull game.
There wasn't a dull game. They spanked Adelaide.
Yeah, it was a dull game.
Maybe it's one thing. It's easy to say when you're the home team in Adelaide. It's a little bit different when the entire opposition are just coming after you. I speak from experience, Josh.
Have you jumped into a time capsule? That game was about a year ago.
It was, but it jogged my memory when you had Kane as our mirror on the media.
Kane Corn. You just wanted to double down on the fact that you got something right.
What do you mean? I got it right. Correct. Me.
There we go. 3 votes this week, and this is a great story. Emma Stark. And if you've never heard of Emma Stark, then this is who Emma is. Emma is a Northern Territorian. I believe that's what they call themselves up there, Pat. She is 16, and she umpired the Essendon v Hawthorn AFLW game at Marvel Stadium. So, yes, the first ever game for Essendon and Hawthorn, umpired by a 16-year-old, which is a miraculous achievement. And it's a historical achievement, Pat, because she is the youngest person, boy or girl, to ever officiate at the highest level of the sport. So 3 votes to Emma Stark. What a performance. I don't know who she gave the 3 votes to in the game, but she should have given them to herself.
And I think it doubles down when all of a sudden there was some spite in that game. And whether that is real or maybe it was a bit put on,
He's going.
Don't know how far we can go back with
He's
rival.
going again here.
Well, it's all their first time playing for Hawthorn or for Essendon. Was it a bit put on? Maybe.
Well, Beck the Icon, also
maybe
Beck Goddard, the coach of Hawthorn, former premiership coach of the Crows. She said she was
stokes the fire, Beck.
She said she was going to bring a bag of sand to draw the line, a la the line in the sand game. I mean,
that's Kevin Sheedy-esque. She's going mad already.
That is some nonsense from Beck the Icon. But we're getting off track because Emma Stark gets the 3 votes. Speaking of potential gooses, and Beck could have been a Joe the Goose of the week with that comment, but it is.
They were actually pretty good, to be honest, Hawthorn. I thought Essendon would beat them by a lot more than what they did.
But, mate, she said she was going to bring a bag of sand to the game. I'm stupid. Our frenemies, Pat, the Herald Sun.
Oh, God. I've told you, Josh, we will get sued like Crikey Media or whatever it is. Lachlan will send an email to us.
Or sue us, mate. We ain't got nothing to give them.
And the beauty is here at the field, if you send us an email like that you're not happy, we will be on the next show. Will be brought to you by Apology.
No, we won't. No, we'll fight them to the death. The Herald Sun, frenemies of ours. Now, this is serious.
You're going after News Limited.
We'll straighten up for
that has not gone well for Kevin Rudd over the years.
Now, this is not just hold your breath for 30 seconds. This is not something.
Chris Kenny's going to be doing he's going to be doing the doco on it, like he did the ABC.
It's not a hanging offence.
Chris, you've always been a big supporter of the ABC. Go on.
It's not a hanging offence, this. But last week, in a recent tweet, the Herald Sun's Super Footy account, they tweeted a story about Danielle Laidley's opinion on the fall from grace of the Kangaroos regarding the Wayne Carey scandal. And this is what they tweeted, right? A Twitter handle of a very big note, and I'll tell you how many followers they got. So they're a big.
Couple 100,000, sure.
They've got 100,000, 95,000. But this is what they tweeted.
I've got them covered.
Quote, a young Wayne Carey got away with everything. Premiership teammate Dean Laidley reveals how his affair with Anthony Stevens' wife shattered the Kangaroos. It's not a hanging offence, but you got to have the respect, Pat. You got to be better.
Yep, I agree with that.
And again, Joe the Goose of the week. We're not trying to hang people. We're just saying, be better. Don't be a goose. So if it was an intern, if it was a senior editor, whoever it was, just be better because disrespectful and be better.
Beautiful work, Gronk. As you said throughout the pod, the field NFL drops this week. Let's go.
Get around it.
And I should add, are you going to be putting in tips throughout the week? Because what we've seen historically with your tips is that they have been very good. And that leads me to horsepower.
Yes,
because all we do on the field, horsepower, and I don't have anything to do with this, but, part of the business. So all we do is pick winners, Josh. Because can you tell me how many?
Well, I'm 2 from 2 from 2 weeks of the show. Matt Hill joined me in week 1, the legendary Melbourne Cup race caller. He struck out. Neil, he went 0 for 1. And our dark shadowy tipster, TS Ratings, he was 0 for 1 as well. So I've single-handedly put $342 in the kitty for charity. So make sure you tune into Horsepower this week. No Group 1s this week, Pat, but plenty of good racing nevertheless. Aside from that, it's time just to enjoy the build-up to week 1
finals
of the finals. And next week, Pat, it'll be you sitting here sad and sorry and wondering why you'll
be here by yourself if we lose.
Oh, or Pat, and this is the preference. You'll be sitting here looking at me or in person, absolutely cock-a-hoot about another week off and a trip to a prelim. So that's what we're looking at. Pat will either be here and happy with himself or not here at all. I'll definitely be here. This has been The Field with JJ and Danger.